Well, it's the best Terminator movie since T2, but that's not really saying a lot.
I mean...
All right.
That's actually a sentiment that I read in a review where it said this is actually the third best Terminator movie, which is higher praise than it sounds like. I don't know. I never saw any of the other Terminator movies after T2 just because I heard enough. I kind of wanted to retain the feeling of T2, but...
See, the problem is, like, the first Terminator movie I watched when I was a kid was, like, T3 in theaters. It took me years to watch the first two.
Oh, God, no. Because the first Terminator movie, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of it.
It's been a long time since I've watched it. I remember liking it when I first saw it.
It's a good movie. It's a solid movie. It definitely has an interesting premise, but if you see it after T2, it's very underwhelming. Because T2 is kind of
great. Yeah.
Its own fucking insane, incredible. It's still an amazing movie.
Oh yeah, no, I think me and Grant saw it like in 3D back when they did that re-release a while back.
So good.
It still holds up really well.
T2 is one of those movies where it was made in an era where you knew that the practical effects had to be practical.
Yeah.
And the visual effects for the time, I mean, they don't look amazing now, but they still don't look bad.
No, they hold up pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah, it's fortunate
what they had to do.
Yeah, and it's fortunate that the special effects. Basically it just has to be a reflective metal thing. Yeah. Because that's easy, kind of. And it doesn't have to look that realistic. It just has to look like shiny, and that's what they could do. But it is definitely anchored by the performances in that movie. Every performance in that movie is amazing.
Wow.
What?
That kid still bugs the shit out of me.
He's supposed to. He's a shithead kid. Edward Furlong is not meant to be endearing. He's a punk.
Yeah, I guess. I think he overplayed his hand in that one. That's my personal opinion.
He's a punk ass kid. He does his job.
Or like the part where it's like you're supposed to take him like seriously and stuff like that. I'm like, no.
He's a punk ass kid. I don't know what to say to you other than you hate children.
I work with children.
That's not mutually exclusive. I know plenty of people who work with kids who that is why they hate kids. They like some kids and that's why they do it, but most kids they're like, oh God.
You little goblins.
This little fucking who made you? Them. Oh, okay, that makes sense. But
did I tell you the story I happened a few weeks ago?
No.
It was kind of great. And like it was horrible to my self-esteem, but it was really funny.
Okay.
I walked in and every time I do it with Spider-Man, I get the usual like, you're not Spider-Man from those shitheads.
Yeah, of course.
And then at one point it's like there's a whole crowd of them, they're all doing it. And one kid in the back just yells out as loud as they can, then why is your belly so big?
Fat Spider-Man!
Yeah, Fat Spider-Man. And you watch the entire crowd of adults all watching this, all do the, oh no. They do that face, and then they look at each other to say, like, was that mine? Is my kid the asshole?
Oh, boy. Well, it's one thing you can't fault kids for. A lot of them are brutally honest.
No, I was like, gee, thanks, kid.
They have none of the fucking social candor to be, like, polite or nice. They're just like... I don't know, but yeah, no, they will call you out for being fat.
Oh yeah,
no question.
And I'm not even that big. I'm wide.
Well, yeah, but as you grow the paunch, they notice.
Yeah.
You're not the super sleek web slinger who's climbing, 20-story buildings and shit. You don't have that physique, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm the near 30-year-old man who still dresses up in tights every weekend.
Yeah, there you go. So, but anyway, Edward Furlong's annoying, yeah, in T2. But the crazy thing about T2 watching it now is that the action sequences are still insane, especially that initial chase with the fucking semi. That chase is classic.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course the Arnold Schwarzenegger one-handed shotgun reload. Just
it's awesome, yeah.
Fucking classic. So, this movie definitely takes moments where it tries to give that feeling. And it somewhat succeeds to an extent.
I would say it succeeds more than it fails.
Exactly. And that's important. That's really important. And it's a big shadow to live in, to be a sequel to one of the greatest sci-fi action movies ever made.
Especially since it's their third attempt.
No, this is the 6th Terminator movie.
Oh. So fourth attempt to get this right. Even though technically Salvation was technically a sequel to 3, if you really want to be that guy about it.
Well, yeah, no, there was Rise of the Machines, and then Salvation, and then Genesis.
Yeah, and then Genesis is like the second reboot.
So this one is just a direct sequel to 2, I think.
Yeah. They're pretty much like, what Genesis? That never happened. Just ignore that.
Like the recent Halloween reboot.
Oh yeah, like John Connor was a Terminator or what?
Yeah. Although I really did like the most recent Halloween movie.
Oh, the Mystery Song was really good.
Yeah. So I do appreciate this recent trend of movies just trying to like, not trying to be like, oh hey, we have to honor the sequels that everyone hates. Like we can't.
No, we don't.
We really don't. We don't. We could just be like, you know what? We agree. Let's just do this. And I appreciate that. I appreciate it did that, and I appreciate the return of Linda Hamilton. And
well, Linda Hamilton's great.
And the way that they brought Arnold back was really interesting, because I did not expect that.
I knew it was coming because of the trailer, but
I knew it was coming, but the way that they did it.
No, I thought it was clever, and it did make the character interesting.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I kind of want to spend more time with Carl the Terminator.
Yeah, Carl. But yeah, so
he's really passionate about drapes, which is kind of great.
Yes. I just love his deadpan delivery of everything. Because while I didn't laugh as much during the movie, because I was kind of in the scenes, the moments where he injects humor kind of feel like weirdly out of place for the moments that it happens, which looking back on it makes it a little funnier. I think the second time through I'll enjoy the humor more. But there's definitely, there's a moment where they're all standing together and someone's like, is that your bodyguard? And he's like, I do drapes.
Okay, so for context, those who haven't seen the movie, the big twist in this is like a spoiler. It's movie's out for a week.
Let's not yet.
Okay. So like things we liked about the movie. Let's go into that first.
Yeah.
I thought the visual designs were really interesting.
Yes.
The way the new Terminator looks and the way it moves, I thought was really interesting. A very creative use of like the T1 and T2 Terminator designs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an amalgamation of both of them.
Yeah.
And the way they played around with that dynamic, I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, the big strength of the movie is that Tim Miller clearly wanted to do some pretty cool action sequences. Although I found it kind of funny, because being the director of Deadpool, I'm like, man, you really like doing action scenes on highways, don't you, Tim? Like you just kind of keep going back to this, which, you know, not the worst thing. Some really cool action scenes have been done on highways. However you feel about the Matrix sequels, one of my favorite sequences in an action movie is still the highway sequence from fucking the second one. Yeah,
Reloaded.
It's amazing.
Oh, it's a great sequence. Regardless of how you feel the rest of the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool shit to be done with a bunch of cars on a freeway, and they clearly used a budget with this one to have some real shit happen.
Oh yeah, like the highway chase was like one of the best action sequences of the movie.
Yeah, the way that the whole sequence unfurls, where, I mean, you know, you see it in the trailers and everything, where the Terminator has the big bulldozer, but what you don't see in the trailers is how many cars he plows through to get to them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of actual destruction in this scene, and it's really cool.
I was like, Jesus.
It is an actual proper R-rated Terminator movie. Like they went for it, and I really fucking appreciated that.
Yeah, no, me too.
You felt the brutality and the intensity of what the Terminator was doing,
and they found a good actor to play it too.
He definitely had. You could tell the moments where he was replicating the T1000 run with the.
Yeah.
It was really
and again,
great.
like kind of amalgamation between the T1 and T2 Terminators. He's also doing like, hey, that's a nice bike. You know, that kind of talk.
Yeah. No, and I really love it, because one of the things that they, if you ever saw, God, I forget the dude's name, but the dude who played the T1000, I saw a video a few weeks ago.
It's like Robert something, isn't it?
Yeah. But he was talking about the hardest parts of being the T-1000, and he said the craziest thing that he had to do was learn how to run really fast while looking like it wasn't phasing him at all. Like doing that run and not looking like he's even breathing, just that, which is a crazy thing.
Oh yeah,
and,
when you really stop to think about it, yeah.
And he talked about how that first sequence where Edward Furlong jumps on the motorbike and runs from him and like tries to go from him. They had to cut the take early because he caught him. Like, he literally caught him to the bike. And they're like, well, I mean, the movie would end there and humanity would be doomed. We can't have that. So
well, it's okay, because apparently humanity gets it, like Terminator's got a do-over in this one.
Yeah.
It's
going to happen somehow.
Like, this is like the big controversial scene that everyone's getting all pissy about. Like,
really?
Online. Yeah, like,
fuck them.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how I feel about it, too.
What? It's not Skynet, so it's not Terminator? Eat my ass.
No, it's more like, you killed John Connor, and like, in like the first 10 minutes, how dare you?
That was genius.
I know, and I was gonna like, dude, like John Connor has never been interesting as a character.
Did you
ever.
Is the real point of this movie the fucking return of Edward Furlong as John Connor? Do you want Edward Furlong back? I mean,
yes.
You know, nothing against Edward Furlong. It would have been interesting to see him pop up, but I don't think we would have gained anything from him being the protagonist, because the whole point was that the original movies worked. They were able to make that future not happen, so now there was a further thing. I do have some comments on where it went later, but we'll get to that once we enter spoiler territory.
I think a lot of it's also from the sexist naysayers, like, oh, you made it about women, now how dare you.
Oh god, that was so, because I still remember when I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, this looks so fucking cool.
Yeah.
This is really fucking cool looking. And I spoke to a guy at one point and he's like, oh, you guys really went all the way with trying to find like some androgynous looking, and I'm like, that's Cameron Howe.
Yeah.
That's Cameron Howe. I fucking love Cameron Howe. I've loved her since I first saw her in fucking Halt and Catch Fire. She's great.
Last movie I saw her was Tully, which she was good in it.
I didn't see Tully, but God, no, she was in something else though that I was really I really enjoyed. She's good.
Oh, she's a really good actress.
She's really good, and I was really happy to see her in this movie. And people were like, "Oh man, you're really trying to like liberal." Blah, blah, blah. Just can you just not?
I know, it's like the man was going to say, "I hate women" and call it a day.
Sure, or I want less women in my movies. Okay, keep okay. Considering the rhetoric, it's really weird how these guys just want to see more buff dudes.
I know, right?
So I found none of those problems with this, and especially considering Linda fucking Hamilton is one of the original badass like film heroines. You know, when you look back at that 80s era where there were a few moments where really cool, you know, women just popped up to save the day.
Yeah, it was like her and Ellen Ripley were like the two big ones.
Basically. So Sarah Connor making a comeback and then having the new protagonist fucking protecting the savior of the future be a woman, like, is that real? I think you're being inconsistent and disingenuous.
No, I agree.
Maybe you're just fucking a misogynist.
I mean, I think a lot of the point, I think some people made this critique to me. That's like, okay, I can see where you're coming from and why that might annoy you. Outside the misogyny thing, because there's a lot of that. It's like, oh, fuck off. In some cases, like, well, doesn't that kind of like defeat the point of T2, where he spent like the entire time? Sorry, the entire time like trying to save John Connor, only to kill him in the first 10 minutes of the new sequel, technically. It was like, okay, I see where you're coming from on that. But that being said, that movie ends with them saving their future as they knew it. So it's like they still accomplished their goal, and even then, like, no one's found an interesting thing with John Connor since then.
Well,
so
they stopped the future that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I still really like the concept that they had just sent back a bunch of Terminators.
Yeah, no, I thought it's like,
and one finally found them.
That does make sense. Why wouldn't they have done that?
Yeah, no, that actually makes sense to me. Yeah. So I guess. Anyway, so the action sequences are fucking great. Even with what they showed in the trailers, they mixed it up enough so that you don't really get the full intensity of how these things go. Like the initial fight where she first runs into him in the warehouse.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Oh, yeah.
That was very I didn't. I thought it was just going to be like, oh, they're just fighting each other. It's going to be cool. Like, no, he is constantly making a beeline for the main girl, and she's barely keeping him away.
Yeah.
Every step, and it feels intense. Although,
which, like, I gotta give credit for credit's due on this one for a Terminator movie to have a restrained trailer.
Yeah, right.
is kind of unheard of in this franchise.
But then to like, although I do feel like a couple of the cooler moments later on were ruined by the fact that I saw them in the trailer.
Yeah, like Arnold reveal probably would have been better if they didn't show in the trailer.
Yeah, but I feel the same way about that I feel about the whole Harrison Ford reveal in Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, and I think we agreed on that too.
I felt like it was intended to be a surprise by the filmmakers, but then the studios got and they're like, oh well, we got to show this.
At least they did in every other Terminator trailer. It's like, hey, you know that big twist we're building up to? Here it is in the trailer. We're gonna play it over and over again, so in that way we'll take any mystery we could have made out of this.
Yeah, although I can understand the need to be like, some people are just not going to be interested if they don't get to see Arnold, and so here,
well, like
Arnold's
even
in it.
Going back to like Salvation, like they did or like in T2, they even did in T2, it's like Arnold's the good guy now, which is like the big twist in the first but
it's like in the first minute.
Like in Salvation, they give away the whole thing about the fact that Sam Worthington is really like a Terminator the whole time.
Oh,
which like isn't revealed like the last third of the movie.
Wow.
And then in like the most recent one, I was like, you know, John Connor, he's the Terminator now.
Wait, what?
You didn't know that?
No.
In Genesis?
No.
Yeah, John Connor's the Terminator in that one.
Oh, okay.
One of the many reasons why that movie is terrible.
Well, I might be slightly upset if I had any remote interest in seeing those movies.
Oh yeah, no, it's just like,
years.
hey, you know, what's the name of the guy who goes back in time in the first movie?
I don't remember.
Kyle Reese.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Whoever saves Sarah Connor in the first movie. John Connor's baby daddy.
Yeah.
He's like
John Connor's daddy.
Yeah.
Linda Hamilton's baby daddy.
You know what I meant.
I do, but it's weird because you just implied that Kyle Reese impregnated John Connor.
Well, in my slasher fic.
That's out there somewhere.
Anyway. Oh, I have no doubt. Where was I going with this? Okay.
I don't know.
It was like in Genesis, and like in the original one, he's kind of like this scrawny, like clearly beat up soldier. In Genesis, he's played by Captain Boomerang. So he's this big fucking yeah.
Oh no.
So he's played as this big hulking like muscle dude.
That dude is not a great actor.
He's not.
Oh.
Except for Captain Boomerang. Oddly enough, it's the one time he shined.
No, he didn't shine. The rest of the movie was just so dull that his sheen was shiny in comparison.
I will not deny this.
God, that movie was bad.
And then they think they made fucking Sarah Connor played by the
Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was not a good casting choice.
And it just did not work in any way, shape, or form.
That's the thing. Like, I love her.
Yeah.
I love Emilia Clarke. I really do, but she's not Sarah Connor.
No.
There's nothing about her that screams to me Sarah Connor. She is not that. She's charismatic. She's charming. She's gorgeous. But she is not like your badass, scrawny, scruffed up fucking action hero.
No, she's not.
It doesn't fit. And that's part of why I really liked Cameron Howe as a choice here, because it worked. Oh, you're gonna hit it. Oh, no. Perfect. Oh, well done. Okay.
It's like, I will say my favorite part of the last season of Game of Thrones is just watching Emilia Clarke react to how the season played out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, you've seen the table read, right?
Just the...
Or even like in press junkets when red carpet services, she's like, best season ever.
Yeah. I love the one interview where they're asking Kit Harington, like, if you had one word to sum up season 8, like, what would you say? And he's like, disappointing. And she's like, what? And he's like, no, I mean, like, just, wow.
Or like, I think I saw like a compilation of like Robert Pattinson talking about Twilight on press junkets. My favorite one was like,
you keep calling him Patterson. It's Pattinson.
Okay.
I don't know what your problem is. You've been doing this for years.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Yeah, that Rebel Wilson. Alright, there's just
Reba Wilson. Reba. Man.
Like the part where he just goes like, "You take anything from the last Twilight movie? My dignity."
No, Robert Pattinson. That's part of when I fell in love with him. I was like, oh, okay, you know what you've done, and I honestly, in Hollywood, I can completely understand selling out. I do not hold anything against anybody for selling out in Hollywood. Do your commercials. Have some fun with it. Make that check. That's part of why I love Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yeah.
You will give 110% to a performance in a movie that is like going to be straight to digital for $5. And that make that check. I love it, because when you see a movie like that, you don't normally see actors just go like 100% all in. That's why I fucking love Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you.
He just does it. He goes for it and he does it. And I fucking love that. And then sometimes you see him in an actual cool movie and you're like, oh hey, yeah, having a good time. I really enjoyed Mom and Dad. But,
me too.
Anyway, this is just turning into random movie chat.
I know, but I got one more before we go back to Terminator.
Sure.
And that same Robin Parents compilation, apparently they showed like a clip of him like on the Howard Stern show, and they just said like, did you almost get fired? It's like, yeah, they kept telling me I need to be more smiley and happy, so they gave me the book and they highlighted all the parts where he smiled. So I sent it back and highlighted all the parts where he's sad and frowning. And then my agent called me. He's like, dude, you need to like line up or they're gonna fire you. So the next day, I was like, hi, I'm the happy smiling fire vampire because I want to keep my job.
I did not see that. Yeah. Oh my god. Someone needs to make a movie out of this. Just just make a documentary about Robert Pattinson and his hatred of Twilight. Oh, I would love to see that.
Okay, anyway, back
Terminator.
to Terminator.
Jesus. But
that
yeah.
massive tangent aside. So the freeway chase is really good.
The freeway chase is good. The previous sequel sucked, and T2 is hard to follow up, but they did a good job in bringing the old actors back. I feel like the script was a bit clunky.
It was clunky in places. I do agree on that.
A lot of parts where you could tell that the actors were just trying to do their best with what they had.
Yeah,
and they mostly did.
I think so.
And I let some things slide, because sometimes you just don't have a good script. I actually felt this recently because I watched Greta.
Have I seen which one's Greta? Oh, right. I missed that one, but I know which one that is.
So I did not know Isabella Huppert was in it, and I literally was like when she popped up on screen, because I am a huge Isabella Huppert fan. It's like back when I first got into fucking art films and shit, like The Piano Teacher, and whenever I see her pop up, she is an amazing actress. But the script for Greta is terribly written. It's a really bad script, and it's really weird seeing Chloe Grace Moretz, who is a great actress, and the main girl from It Follows is also in it. She does really well. And Isabella Huppert is in it, and she's just legendary, especially if you follow, like, French movies. She's a superstar. And they're given this trash scripts, and it's really interesting to see them work with it through the scenes, and see clunky dialogue come out of their mouths, and still convey the feeling that you feel like they want you to get. Like when it gets later in the movie and Greta starts doing the really fucked up, weird, like disturbing shit, you still feel like Isabella Huppert has made that her character. You still feel like she is what they wanted her to be. And I'm not sure many people could have pulled that off. And I feel like I could say something similar about this movie.
Yeah.
Where there are moments where they say things which were clearly in there just for, exposition or a comedic moment, like, and the delivery doesn't quite land, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like, when she says she puts her phone in a bag of potato chips to insulate it from the GPS and everything, she's like, "Why'd you buy 10 bags of potato chips?" I really like potato chips.
Yeah, I will like the payoff for that joke I did like was when they find Arnold, because it turns out he's been helping Sarah Connor like find other Terminators throughout the years. Yeah. And he later on he goes like,
I guess we're in full spoiler territory.
Yeah, we are. Fuck it. We talked for like like 20 minutes. It's
no respects.
and the point where it's like, she started like, we need this and this. Like Sarah goes, I know a guy, and Arnold goes, this guy. He's in this like this many ways. We need to leave like if we leave tonight or something like that. And she goes like, you've been tracking me? And he goes, if you want to keep your bag in if you want to keep your phone in a bag of potato chips, keep your phone in a bag of potato chips.
Yeah. So anyway, highway chase. They meet back up. I do find it interesting, the idea, like how they implemented the whole enhanced human approach towards that. I found that interesting. The execution of it was interesting. I like the moment where they take her into the medical station and actually, you know, you get to see kind of an X-ray of her, of what she has hooked up inside. It's like all these wires and shit. And oh, that's interesting. But that scene in the holding center,
I was just gonna bring that
very
up.
cool.
Yeah,
that was a classic, intense, like when you put characters into an enclosed space. The movie did a good job in multiple sections of making you feel like the Terminator was right fucking there, and about to get them.
And also, it's an interesting callback to like the previous like T2.
No, exactly.
Like where it's about like the Terminator is like in like a uniform that's supposed to be seen as safe, but it's also like super deadly. Yeah. And also like it's very topical. And
it's a place of authority.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they did a good job with that.
And just the part where all the bodyguards are like tackling this one Terminator, and he's just like stabbing, like not even like looking at any of them.
No,
like,
he's just like shooting fucking knives out of himself from all directions without even looking. And he's just focused straight ahead on getting to not Sarah. I don't even remember her name.
Yeah. The girl that was in Transformers 6, I think.
Oh, Jesus. But see, that's another part of the issue.
Yeah, the main girl isn't really that strong.
Yeah, the girl that they're supposed to be protecting is... There's not a lot motivating her character other than she's upset when the Terminator murders her family, which, you know...
Yeah, that's fair.
I would be. I'm pretty sure everyone would be. That's not a very distinguishing characteristic.
I was kind of surprised when they just killed the brother right off. I was like, I felt like they were like building him up to have some bigger arc than movie.
No. I knew from all the trailers because you saw the trailers and you're like, this dude isn't in any of this. He's not.
That thought crossed my mind.
Yeah, I'm like, how soon is he gonna die?
I thought he'd make it a little longer. But
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I really enjoyed the trailer. It got me super hyped, but again, I felt like it fucked up some of the movie. Which I think on repeat viewings might be better because now I know the whole movie, so these moments that could have been a surprise are now just parts of the story. But so yeah, he dies pretty soon. I love Linda Hamilton's casual Terminator murder. She's just like, yep, grenade, rocket, shotgun. See you guys. Okay, we're good. So, but yeah, the main girl, I took a lot of issue with her dialogue. Her dialogue was very, very weak.
Yeah.
And that's not her fault. That's the script.
Yeah.
I will say that the thing that I have a problem with this movie the most is her as the central protagonist, because all it does is talk about how she's the commander, and it talks about how, you know, she's the one who saved Grace, just Cameron Howe's character, in the future, and that's the only thing.
Doesn't she like start the revolution or something?
Supposedly, but it doesn't really give much context for that. It just, you know, she shows up to some thugs, beats the shit out of them, and then gives a rousing speech, and they decide to change their ways and join her in her fight against the machines. And they needed to spend more time on that.
Yeah.
They needed to spend more time in the future. They needed to spend more time establishing that dynamic. There should have been more of a relationship between Grace and her in the future. They like, that is the weakest part of the story. It is just a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that really resonated or felt important aside from the movie telling you that it was important. And that is my biggest problem with it, especially when, you know, there are moments where everyone's arguing about one thing or the other, and she's like, no, this is what we're gonna do. And it's like, girl, you literally have no, this is not your background.
I know.
This is, how are you the one?
Why are you calling the shots?
Yeah, this doesn't make sense. Like, you're just suddenly this badass woman who's found this thing within herself to lead because you're fed up with running?
Yeah.
Okay. Which, yeah, it really feels like... It feels like it was written as a plot point rather than an actual character moment. Does that make sense?
No, I agree, and
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from. I do agree. Like, it did feel kind of tacked on. I don't think I hate it as much as you did. But at that point, I was
didn't
like,
hate it. I just wish it was a lot better. I felt like
Yeah.
it was weak and underdeveloped.
That's fair.
It could have worked.
for me,
it
I was
could
kind of
have
like,
worked.
for me, I was like, all right. For me, I think at that point, I was kind of like, all right, I'm just on board for the next action scene. Like, and that's really what
Yeah.
I think it's like. Those were thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, that...
and were choreographed and well shot.
Yeah, that point takes, like, you know, for me, it takes the movie down like a whole point.
And that's fair. I completely get that.
Because that's just, it is the one thing. It's the one thing. And if there was like a director's cut of this somewhere where it really focused on those character moments, like I know this is from Tim Miller, but if you look at Deadpool, it did have extended sequences where it's establishing the characters and the relationships with each other.
Cut.
Yeah, right.
Where's that movement, Twitter?
Yeah, right. But it had a really good amount of time spent on establishing the character relationships and making you care about them. And I felt like that relationship was missing between, you know, those two main women.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see more of that crazy Terminator future. I wanted to see more of, you know, you get one scene in the future, really.
Yeah.
Well, two, if you count the Grace survival scene where she gets beat up and shit, which was a cool bit of exposition, but the one real future scene that you get is when they're landing and trying to save the commander, and she decides to, you know, go all in and basically sacrifice herself to save the mission. That's good. It's good. It was a really cool sequence. The Terminator designs in that scene was terrifying.
We're just like, how are they not all dead already?
Yeah, right. That was fucking crazy. Also, why didn't you land closer to the entrance? Like, if they know where you are, why did you land like 200 feet away when clearly it's an open clearing and you could have landed 50 feet away? Just doesn't feel right.
Video game rules.
Yeah, right. So that's its own weird, bothersome thing, but...
I did get surprisingly into the relationship between Linda Hamilton and Arnold.
Yeah, no, that was cool.
Like,
let's jump to that, because that's actually really, that's more interesting as you get further in. But yeah, anyway, I really wish there were more future scenes and, you know, more character development there. That's that. Now, when she first sees him, and she's like, I'm gonna kill this fucker, and she says, you know, this is the one that killed John.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not, how can you tell? And apparently it is.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he just admits it. Yeah, like, yeah, I did it.
This is not some other Terminator that went good. Like, this is the Terminator that killed her son. Yeah. And that was a cool twist.
Yeah.
Did not expect that.
No, I was, and I was happy to see that. It did give those characters an interesting arc to go through. Because at this point, Lena Hamilton is just like, I'm just gonna here to blow stuff up and look cool. That was the first time actually like, okay, now we actually like where they're going with this. Like,
also, the moment that she got to do some real acting.
Yes.
Which was cool. I like the scene where she's sitting on the log and is just like kind of fucked up. Again, I wanted more of that scene. I wanted that scene to be longer than the few lines that it was.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a strong scene. It gave the characters a chance to actually emote and have some substance. And that, I feel like that's the thing that's missing with this movie, is that it doesn't spend enough time developing the characters and the relationships. And I think that's what separates it the most from something like T2 and T1. Like, T1 that was most of the movie.
Yeah.
Most of the movie was not action sequences. It was mainly character development, and with certain scenes where the Terminator is finally catching up to them, and it's fucking scary.
Yeah.
But most of it was the relationship between Reese and Connor. And that was really amazing. And the second movie had a bunch of action sequences, but also spent a lot of time on the actual plot. And I feel like this movie cut like took a couple of shortcuts when it came to that.
Yeah, I can.
And that's
I can
what keeps it from greatness.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But yeah, the scenes with Carl, who has developed emotions and does not really have like a physical relationship with his wife and his stepson, but is like
obviously cares.
Yeah, he's developed kind of a conscience and emotions on a certain level. But
which is like what they try to do in Genesis, but this movie does it better.
Yeah, they actually did a pretty decent job with that. And the scene where he says goodbye to his family is actually kind of sad.
Yeah, man, it kind of tells you everything you need to know in the short interactions they do have.
Yeah, that was really well and efficiently done. And where it says, you know, do you love them? And he says, not like a human can.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to acknowledge the yes but no nature of that development, and I really appreciated how that worked. And the way that he says, you know, I provide for them, I care for them, and I am extremely funny. Just his deadpan delivery of everything is so good.
Or my favorite line in there was like, I once had a man who wanted to put a solid color in the room.
No, when there's one point where he's talking to the big girl, and they're just having a conversation while they're waiting for their like weapons delivery guy to arrive, and he's just having a conversation with her about drapes, and he's talking about that dude who wanted to put like solid drapes in a girl's room. He's like, you need to do polka dots or balloons or butterflies.
God damn it, I love Arnold.
I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it's kind of a redundant joke.
It's still funny.
It works. It still works. Still hilarious. Yeah, then you get into the point where it's the final few action sequences with the escape from the military compound and the plane. And again, the plane action sequence, way crazier than what you see in the trailer.
Yeah.
Way crazier. And that's one of the things. Like, I expected them to end up parachuting down on the Humvee because it was in the fucking trailer.
Yeah.
They didn't need that to be in the trailer. You could have just shown the planes like slamming into each other and shit, and that would have been good. But it was just such a cool sequence. It was really, really well done. And the way that the characters, like, you gotta realize they're in the cargo bay of a plane that goes from normal flying to falling out through the sky so that they're basically in 0G.
Yeah.
To basically just the back blowing open. And it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And it's such a well-directed action sequence that you are conscious of where each character is during the whole thing. They do a really good job of making it really chaotic, but still communicating where each character is in the scene at any given moment. And it's fucking fantastic. And then you get to the dam and that final sequence, which again,
really cool.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
And then that whole part with the engines underneath it, where they make their final stand.
Yeah, which is like, again, the action scenes. The action scenes are all really solid. The action's all really solid. I think, again, like kind of like you said, the weakest part is just the writing. But that being said, there's like ordinarily in a less well-directed movie that probably would have killed it completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like this case, it is very well directed. It's very well shot. The visual design's great, and it delivers enough entertainment value for me to still recommend it.
Absolutely.
Even though I like, okay, yeah, like, but you still can't top T2.
Again, it's the third best Terminator movie. And the problem is, like, if we're just talking action sequences and like the overall package, blasphemy, but I honestly would put this above T1 in terms of rewatch value, because T1 is just a story.
T1 is basically a horror movie.
Yeah, T1 is a it's better written. It's definitely better written.
It establishes a world. And puts a boogeyman in that. For them to chase them around.
Yeah, it's definitely a better written movie. But if you're looking for a movie that's more in the style of T2, I would say this is only second to that.
I would agree.
So yeah,
your graded standards are low.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as praise goes, I think that in terms of what people are looking for out of a Terminator movie after T2, I don't think you could make a Terminator sequel that was more like T1 and get away with it.
No, I agree, because that's fine. Like the action beats are too well like ingrained in the genres and the franchise's DNA.
The way that it expanded with the concept of the T1000 makes it impossible to go back to something that is as simple and character focused as T1.
I guess the closest we would get would be like the TV show.
The TV show is fucking amazing.
Oh, I love the TV show.
The TV show is one of the best things out there for the Terminator series, which again, not very high standards, but I would honestly put the TV show above T1.
No, I agree.
In terms of action sequences and stuff,
not
as much. They pulled it off for a TV show that did not have that much funding.
Yeah, I was gonna say for the budget they had, it worked very well.
But yeah, I would definitely still rewatch the TV show over this one, maybe, if I wanted a good Terminator story.
Yeah.
But yeah, this in terms of just being an overall package, some weak moments, weak writing, weak exposition. There were things that I would have enjoyed a lot more of as far as character development goes, but I'm not upset about this movie. There are things I wish it did more of, but I am not upset about this. I enjoyed it a lot, and it's definitely inoffensive. The most offensive part is just the lack of development for the protagonist that is the focus of all of this battle. You know, they could have done more with that. They could have given her more to work with, and that's really it.
Okay.
Outside of that, the rest of it is great.
Yeah, no, you and I are pretty much on the same page about it, so we gotta wrap this up because I gotta leave in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But
I think we're pretty close.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done here.
Yeah.
So like, I think next week. This is the chaotic time of the year where everything comes out and I just don't have the time.
I really want. I'm gonna try. I really hope I'm able to get Dr. Sleep in before you're ready to go.
I saw it yesterday.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna want you on board for that.
Yeah,
one.
I'm really on board for Dr. Sleep.
Because that's this year's Blade Runner 2.
Really?
Yeah. Which I know is saying a lot.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, but
oh shit,
it's a fascinating film.
Okay, all right.
So like,
well, I know that the thing is that it's actually based. The novel The Shining actually has Dr. Sleep. Like Dr. Sleep is its own novel sequel to The Shining.
Yes.
So it does have actual original source material to base itself on.
Yes, and it does kind of play fast and loose, whether it's a sequel to the book or a sequel to the movie, and it really doesn't really fall directly into the sequel to the movie till the third act, without giving anything away.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll be curious your thoughts on Dr. Sleep, because like I'm not talking about this movie by myself.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Like watching it. But I was captivated for the entire 2.5 hour runtime.
Good.
And after
that's saying a lot. It takes a lot to make a 2.5 hour movie work, which is why I kind of love 2.5 hour movies, because it takes some balls to try to do that.
I don't miss the age when they were everywhere.
Yeah.
Where like back at the time where it was every fucking movie is 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. But I feel like it takes something. You gotta have some measure of focus and intent to do a long movie, and with something like Dr. Sleep, I feel like there's enough lore and character focused stuff where you would actually. It would merit that kind of effort.
Okay, let me put it this way: when you watch the movie, again, without giving anything away, there are shots in the movie that would be very easy to mistake as reused footage from the first one.
Wow, cool.
But they never.
No, I think I saw moments of that in the trailer.
They never use a single as far as I could tell, they never use a single shot from the first movie.
Yeah, no, I remember in the trailer seeing like the old lady in the tub and the twins, so it should be interesting. But very, very, very much interested in seeing this. So
they got that. There's Ford versus Ferrari.
Well, yeah,
I go see, which I think is pretty good. I mean, it's Matt Damon and Christian Bale. So.
Well, it's also a really good director.
Who's directing it?
The dude who made Walk the Line and Logan.
Okay, yeah.
So he's got kind of a
James McGold, is that his name?
I don't know, but I just know he's got a really solid track record.
And then Charlie's Angels.
I'm looking forward to it. It looks like a fun movie with 3 very attractive women kicking a lot of ass.
Well, so if you can at least get like Dr. Sleep and Ford versus Ferrari under like for next week, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
If you get Charlie's Angel, that's a bonus. But
but if you can make it to an early screening of Knives Out, please do. I would love to do an advanced review for that because I am hyped.
I want to see Louis too. It's more like I just don't know what next week's gonna be because next week's gonna be hell.
I'm going Friday night. Honestly, I'm going my next Friday night is going to be seeing Knives Out early, and I have no regrets about that.
It's more like I don't know if I can get tickets at this point. I don't even know if I could.
Give it a shot. See.
Anyway, yeah. All right, I gotta go. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see y'all later.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.